We're going to take a look at Super Microcomputer here on the weekly chart. Obviously, devastating news coming in this past Friday. Just a huge drop. We're down 33% on the day, basically almost $10.50 from our Thursday's close where we had that indecision. You can see we've been sitting on this lower trend line of this overall structure for quite some time. We're looking for some sort of a bounce. Obviously, got the exact opposite of that. And that's what's going to happen when the news comes out and the kind of news that came out that we had on Friday. Now, everybody basically was looking for a little bit of a pop, just maybe a couple dollars on Friday. Didn't get that, and he ended up getting a sell off in the overall market and a sell off in SMCI in here. Basically, nobody wanted to hold over the weekend here. So, any sort of good news, which I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of, but if we do get a little bit of good news in here, they'll look for a little bit of a pop. Basically, if Nvidia is still staying in here, then we're good. But if they start pulling out and things like that, then look for this thing just kind of tank. Basically, nothing's going to save us in here until we get to these $17 handles down here. You can see that was a previous resistance going all the way back to November of 24. So that is going to be an area that we are going to watch depending on how much further this thing is going to go down. But we could get a nice little pop here off the $20 handles. That could save us. But again, we're going to have to kind of wait and see. It's going to be definitely news based in here. RSI is down at 31 right now. We're out of this overall structure. You can see that basically, technically, we're going to expand all of these as we go into next week in this next opening candle. Everything's going to get super expanded in here. Your 9-day EMA is going to run from that 200. The 50 is going to come back down here. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens this week. But then basically to the upside in here, we're looking at 27, 26. That is kind of what we're eyeing in here for our next big resistance. Your implied volatility here is basically through the roof because of the move that we did happen. So nothing's really kind of gauged in so far this week. It's all because there's so much volatility, right? When you had such a large down move on a small stock like this, it's hard to kind of gauge the overall volatility. So we're going to see what kind of expected moves are going to happen this week as everything opens on Monday and then play from there. We're also going to take a look at Apple since we are in here. Now, we mentioned in our other videos that basically we're more or less kind of going down to meet those 50-day SMAs on our SPYs and our Qs. You can see that's kind of what we're doing here on Apple as well. That 50-day SMA sitting at 240. That's going to be a nice big support for us in here. But first, we have to kind of breach through this 245 level right here. That is going to be a main area that we are going to watch. So now we are officially out of this overall structure. So we're going to adjust this trend line accordingly, depending on where we open up on Monday. But right now, this past weekly candle that we had, it did not breach through our lower trend line here on this overall structure. This is going to be a new low point for us in here. So we're going to see what happens overall with the markets and with Apple. We're basically more or less, if you look at the quotes, we're only down 84 cents on the day. In Apple, we're trading at that 248 handle, but obviously we know the action that we had in Friday and then exactly the action that we had in the overall market. So it doesn't look good in here, but basically 245 is what we're setting up for support. Anything outside of that, you're looking at this 240 range, which is that 50-day SMA. I'm sorry. On the upside in here, we're going to be looking at that 253 area. Above there, it is going to be this previous lower trend line. That's going to be trading at that 260 mark. That's going to be a nice big point for us to kind of breach and hold. Anything outside of there, it's basically going to be that 265 area. So we're going to see what happens in Apple. It looks like everybody's pricing in right around a $4 expected move by Monday's expiration. Wednesday, about $5. And if you go all the way out to Friday, about $6.50 expiration, or I'm sorry, move through that Friday expiration. So let's see what happens in the overall markets. And with Apple, since we do get a nice correlation with Apple and the SPY and the NASDAQ, just because of how much the SPY and Qs are weighted with Apple. So let's see what happens overall as we're going into the new week, especially with this Iran news that just came out over the weekend here with the Trump's new threat. So overall, we're going to see what happens going into this new week. And that's kind of what we're working with here on this previous Friday with Super Microcomputer and Apple. All right, guys, if you like this video, make sure to check us out on all of our social media. We also have a Discord service if you're interested, and you can find all of our socials in the description below.